In preparing for their wedding, PJ and Joe discovered a ritual that spoke deeply to their souls, a ritual to bind their hands and sew their lives with cords of love from the people to whom they have been forever bound. Together, in one way or another, we've all had a hand in shaping these two beautiful men. And today, we honor that great privilege by helping them to bind their own hands in preparation for their vows, to love one another, but not to make a bond of their love. The first cord of 7 comes from Joe's family of origin, and it is presented by his brother, Jim Greer. Joe, will you cause PJ pain?
I may.
Is that your intent?
No.
PJ, will you cause Joe pain?
I may.
Is that your intent?
No.
Will you share each other's pain and seek to ease it?
We will.
And so the binding is made. The second cord comes from PJ's family of origin, and it is presented by his sister, Anne Helmuth Queen. PJ, will you share Joe's laughter?
I will.
Joe, will you share PJ's laughter?
I will.
Will both of you look for the brightness in life and the positive in each other?
We will.
And so the binding is made. The third cord comes from childhood and college friends of Joe, and it is presented by Kelly Woods. PJ, will you burden Joe?
I may.
Is that your intent?
No.
Joe, will you burden PJ?
I may.
Is that your intent?
No.
Will you share the burdens of each other so that your spirits may grow in this union?
We will.
We will.
And so the binding is made. The fourth cord comes from childhood and college friends of PJ. It is presented by Becca Conrad Whitehead. PJ, will you share Joe's dreams?
I will.
Joe, will you share PJ's dreams?
I will.
Will you dream together to create new realities and hopes?
We will.
And so the binding is made. The fifth cord comes from the adult friends and colleagues of Joe. It is presented by Sandy Hunt. Joe, will you cause PJ anger?
I may.
Is that your intent?
No.
PJ, will you cause Joe anger?
I may.
Is that your intent?
No.
Will you take the heat of anger and use it to temper the strength of this union?
We will.
And so the binding is made. The sixth cord comes from the adult friends and colleagues of PJ. It is presented by Blake Marr. PJ, will you honor Joe?
I will.
Joe, will you honor PJ?
I will.
Will you seek to never give cause to break that honor?
We shall never do so.
And so the binding is made. Joe and PJ, by your marriage, you are ensuring that we all belong to both of you now. By your love, you have bound together your families and friends, and so I add this seventh and final cord on behalf of us all. The knots of this binding are not formed by these cords, but by your vows. Either of you may drop those cords, for as you always have and always will, you hold in your own hands the making and breaking of this union. And so the binding is made.